Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Drama-Free Sunday. Drama-Free Sunday. Looks like I missed a light. Oh well, we're just gonna roll with it. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing really well. So good to see everybody rolling in. It's a treat, huh, Laura? It's a Sunday. I was going to say that. That's not a good thing for me to say, but I was almost going to say. I was almost going to get myself in a whole lot of trouble. Anyway. Good to see you guys. All right. Time is short. I am going to get to start just a little bit early. I'm not supposed to be on for about 7 or 8 minutes. I'm starting early, okay? Because I can't say hello in 30 minutes. I know that. That's the biggest problem I have, is saying hello. The time constraint. So we're just going to go for it and see what happens. You know what I mean? Jelly beans. So welcome to everybody who's coming in. We're not going to bring out the sponsors today. They are successfully locked behind door number 1. Whatever door that is. They're locked in there. So I'm so glad you're here, each and every one of you. I see the chat rolling. So welcome. I think Clausman is in the chat, or will be shortly, to help. And so anyway, yeah, look at those sponsors coming up there with Beth. Anyhow, okay, let's go. Let's get started, because I have lots of things that I've tried to step it all out so I can actually show you something, talk to you about my passion at the moment. And so we'll see how well I do with that. Okay, so first of all, I don't know, is Meri here yet? I didn't see her come in the chat. I should probably wait until she's here. I didn't see her in the chat. She'll be here at some point. Anyway. Hey, Barbara Clark. Yay. Thank you for being here. So first of all, I don't know if Meri's here or not, but I wanted to say thank you so much to Meri for, there she is. There she is. First of all, I want to say thank you to Meri for organizing the hop. And I want to say also a big thank you to Meri and to Shelley of Crafting Mamas for inviting me, because I was really surprised, and I was really happy about it. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to do something that's different than what I normally do, and to give me parameters that I got to stay within. That's also good for me. It's a good stretch for me. So anyway, it's the hashtag fourth Sunday hop, right? And in case you don't know who I am, which I'm assuming there are some people here who are probably new to me, my name is Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com, which is a website of all kinds of creative arts and fun. We've been going since, I was trying to figure it out today, I think since about 2012, but I'm not entirely sure. Race and I were having a conversation about that earlier. He couldn't remember, and without going back, and I couldn't remember, and so we're just gonna, I said, well, that's all right, I'll just make it up. So I just made it up. It's 2012. I don't know. Anyway, the How to Get Creative is a membership website where we have all kinds of classes, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, you're all invited to check us out. One of the things that we did this week is we've launched, last 2 weeks I guess, we launched our merchandise store. And so I just want to show you my cup. It came yesterday, my sample came yesterday. Look, is that funny? This is my Charlie cup. It's my Charlie cup. Anyway, in honor of that, we're doing a creative challenge. You're all invited to do that. There's no charge for it. And all the information's below in the description box, along with all the other people who are involved in the hop. So just click on the show more or the arrow, whatever device you're on, computer or whatever. It may look different. Just click on that. It'll expand the description box, and you just scroll down. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in our creative challenge, you can find that information down there. And if you need even more information, go back to the stream previous to this one where I talked a lot about it. So you got that. Okay? Okay. That's so good to see everybody. I know, Laura, right? If you don't know what it is for sure, just make it up. It's the way it is. Okay. Oh, I'm so happy I got a couple extra minutes. That way I got all that stuff out of the way. So if you have any questions for me or something you really want me to see, put it in all caps. I'm not sure that I'll see it tonight. I do have the chat rolling here, but I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to actually be able to keep up with it tonight because of the short time. These little cups drink very well too. They're not little. It's a good sized mug. Anywho, let's put it over here. Okay, so the question was, what is your creative passion? Whoa, is that a loaded subject for me? Let me just tell you that right now, because my interest, I'm kind of like a firefly, and I flit from thing to thing to thing to thing. I know, Jean, don't you think so? I love the cup too. And we have all the sponsors. Each sponsor has a cup, along with other things. Anyway, I'm kind of like a firefly. I just kind of go from thing to thing to thing. And so when the subject was given to me, you know, the question was, what is your art passion? It's like, I will not spend any time thinking about this. It's going to be the first thing that comes in my head. So there you go. And my answer was color, fiber, and stitch. So I'm going to show you that. There's a whole story behind what I'm going to show you. Okay, there's a whole story behind these. Which I've gone through a number of times. I'm not going to go through the whole story here because it's too long, and it's, yeah, it's just too long, that's all. But I'm going to show you the pieces, and then I'm going to show you how to make a version of this, okay? So I'm going to show you, first of all, I'll tell you just a little bit about each one, but not about the whole process. How's that? These are pieces that hang up in my studio space, and I took them down just for you, and I tried to get the dust off of them. I tried to get the dust off, people. If you see any dust, pretend. Just pretend with me that they're clean and pristine, because they've been hanging in my studio. I was trying to think today how long I had them, and I think that they have been in my possession, I believe, since about 2008. And there is a set of 7 of these. I didn't see anybody else do this. That doesn't mean that no one else ever has. It's just something I did, and I really like them. So I took all of my red, not even close to all my red stuff. I just got a collection of red things and put them together, and then put trims and beads. These are very involved pieces, each one. They're about 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 10. Let's see. 8.5. It's about 8.5 by a little over 11. And so I have fishing line, which you might not be able to see, but that's what's in my hand. So it's got fishing line attached to them, and they hang on a set of cabinet doors in the kitchen area here in my studio. It is, CB, it is. The dust, I just saw that the dust is a protective layer. Yes, it is, indeed. Indeed. So I'm just going to let you see this. The words are, there's a lot of stitch, there's a lot of color. I was exploring color in each one of these. There's a lot of machine stitching, a lot of trims, a lot of all kinds of fun stuff. The words are printed out on fabric printer sheets, you know, that go through your inkjet, and I cut them out and stitched them on. So each one of these explores a different, and then the backing, each one of them has the same backer fabric, complete with cat hair. So what, this one is an exploration of orange, okay, orange. And basically these are about the energy centers of the body. But you don't even have to believe that. You can just look at them and enjoy the eye candy of the color and the techniques. So this one is yellow, and this one I used, this is ball chain right in here. This is like ball chain that comes from the hardware store. The gold cording is, I don't know, something I had in my stash. There's buttons, there's all kinds of stuff in here. But it's really fun to just explore color. I love color, okay? I love color. And so that's what these pieces are all about. And there's a lot of texture and fiber in here. Like this is one of the bags, produce bags. This was another one, this netting kind of thing. But there's just all different, here's more of the produce bag down here. So this was just a whole lot of stuff that I had hanging out in my studio that I had a whole lot of fun with, because I did color, I explored stitch. This one, if I tilt it in the light, you'll see the iridescence. That has a lot of Angelina fiber. A lot of Angelina fiber on it. And weird buttons that I had hanging out. Like this is just some weird odd button. I don't even know where it came from, but it worked, so I stuck it on here. There's a lot of crystals. These are heat activated crystals. And a lot of spirals, a lot of machine stitching, just a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of color, a whole lot of fiber, a whole lot of stitch. So this is indigo. So the one before this was the blue piece. This is indigo. This is my fiber flip through. And then I did use some, I have a huge container of silk flowers that I used in my doll making. But you can see this is a set of old plastic dark blue beads. I don't even know where some of this stuff came from. I don't remember. And so I just put stuff on here on each one until I was finished. But you can see as I went through, some of them have more fiber than others. This one has a lot of fiber. A lot of fiber. Yeah. And then this was the last one. This is the gold / purple or violet. But this is a combination of both gold and violet. And lots of, I don't know if you can see it, as I tilt it, you probably can. There's a lot of fiber in here. That the flash is all coming from Angelina fiber, which is a heat activated or heat reactive fiber. But this was the last one I did, and so this one I'm very partial to this one, of course. I started on the red one. I ended on the purple gold one. So anyway, those are the pieces, and they hang in my studio. They all have the fishing line attached to them because they hang at different heights on the cabinet doors. I had just the right number of cabinet doors too. That was good. Okay, so I'm going to show you the process. And this is an abbreviated version. I would have nearly enough space. I'll just tell you that. Anybody here understand? Can I get an amen if you need more space in your creative arena? Yeah. I'm glad you guys like them. So this is the version that we're going to explore. Okay. So this is the version that we're going to explore. This little size is roughly 5, okay, let me measure, roughly 5 by about 6 1/4. The reason I chose the size, first of all, I thought I could get one pretty much done. And secondly, I thought if it was something that appealed to you to explore color and stitch in a simplified manner, this was something you could do. Okay? So this is where we're headed. And this is, I don't know if Lucia's here, this is 100% Lucia's fault. This fabric, which I'm so glad she made me buy it. And anyway, so this is where we're headed. So let's see how we got there. The first thing you got to do is to start with a foundation. And for this, I'm going to start with a foundation of muslin. So this is just plain old muslin. Could be curtain fabric, it could be whatever. I tend to work in a portrait mode, but if you wanted to do it this way in landscape, you certainly could. Okay, you certainly could. And hello to everyone who's coming in. Welcome into the studio. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. Then I went through my stash of fabrics, and I picked out the ones that I wanted to work with. So here are a variety of blues and blue-ish, teal colors and so forth. And then what I did is I backed them with a fusible web. This is called Misty Fuse. Misty Fuse comes in black and in white. And Misty Fuse it's the most wonderful fusible, and it's the most maddening fusible. Both. Okay? It's both. The reason that I like to work with it's like a spider web. Literally, it is like a spider web. I'm going to pull out a piece that I have painted so you can actually see. You can actually see it. So this is painted with fabric paint, but hopefully you can see it. Did you see what I mean? It is like a spider web. It's like super fine spider web, and it is a fusible product. And it is so lightweight that it works really well with fabrics when you want to layer things up. Those of you that were with me on Friday for Drama Free Friday, which by the way, you're all invited to Drama Free Friday. It's where I broadcast every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. The quilt that I showed yesterday that I had made for my granddaughter, all of the pieces that were applique were first backed with Misty Fuse. So each one of these has been pre-fused. Okay, so it's got the fusible on the back. So that means you got to make sure you know which side the fusible's on, and you have to make sure that you don't put the iron on the wrong side. And so I'm going to just show you the process here. I just took some pieces, because all of this is pre-fused. I took a bunch of pieces and I just started building and building. And this is what I did with those big pieces that I showed you also. It's exactly the same process, just took a lot longer because I used a lot more stuff. And so I just made it, put all the pieces on here bigger than I thought that I wanted them to be. And I let them hang off the edge because I started out with my muslin a little bit bigger than I wanted the finished piece to be. Okay? And so then when I got done, you know, I went back and I put little pieces and I just sort of made a patchwork, but the fusible is against the muslin. Okay? So that's the first step. Then you take the piece that you've got all your stuff on. Okay, so I got all my stuff on this. This is all my bits and pieces. And then I have an ironing surface covered with parchment paper, and I put that in here just like this, so all the bits and pieces are arranged, and the muslin's on the underneath side. Cover it with another piece of parchment, because if you don't, you're going to fuse this. At least bits and pieces are going to get fused onto your iron. Okay? And then you want to let it cool before you handle it too much, because things get super hot with the iron, in case you didn't know. Just like that. So it is all fused together. And then I go to my next favorite thing. So I've got color. The next favorite thing is to use a sewing machine. So I'm going to show you how I start that with a sewing machine. Get my sewing machine set up here just a second. And the thread that I have in the top is called King Tut. This is the thread that I'm using, is King Tut. It's a variegated thread. And I'm using green thread because this is the green piece. I'm going to try and save some time at the end for answering questions, because clearly, as you can tell, I'm not watching the chat. Clearly. So the muslin's on the back, my pieces are on the front, everything's fused down, and I'm going to use just a straight stitch for this, and I'm going to just stitch, because that's what I love to do. And it's very precise knot. Okay, and then I just come across a little bit, few stitches, however many I feel like. And I just add some stitch. And then I just keep going. I don't break the thread once I get started. Anybody can do this. If you have a sewing machine, doing pieces like this is the greatest thing, because then you can experiment and learn what your sewing machine will do. Because you're just making it up. Okay? You're just making it up as you go along. It is the epitome of no rules. And we're going to do one last line of stitch here. Now you can do as many lines of stitching as you want. You can go as many directions as you want. But that's all I did, just wavy lines. So nothing straight. Okay? Nothing straight. Just a bunch of lines. In my favorite green thread. In my very favorite green thread. It's King Tut, and it's color number 924. I should have that memorized because I use this color all the time. And every time I go to buy more King Tut thread, I always buy another spool of it because I always think I'm out. So I usually have at least 1 or 2 extra spools. Okay, so we got that. So the next thing we're going to do, let me find my note here. Well, I don't know what I did with my note, so it doesn't matter. We're just going to keep going. Here we go. So what I'm going to do now is I've got the the machine stitching done. And so what I thought I would show you too is that if you like to do hand work as well as machine, or if you prefer one over the other, you can do that. Or here's another thought. You can do both, right? You can do both. So what I have here is pearl cotton. This is pearl cotton. It usually looks more like this if you haven't used it all up. Or you can use things like embroidery floss. Okay, so you can use things like embroidery floss. I usually use 2 or 3 strands of embroidery floss. And then just use the appropriate needle. And then you can just play with the kind of stitch that you want to do. So one of the fun stitches that you can do is called, and I'm going to show it to you in a book here. Let me get it, my needle through. And let me give you a tip. If you have trouble getting your needle to pull through, like this is a thick thread, okay, thick thread. And I'm going to come out here and I'm going to push down. And so the needle is heavy, the thread is thick, and sometimes you can't get a hold of it. So if you use one of these jar opener things, or another thing is a balloon, you can actually use a balloon, or a plastic glove, you can get a hold of your needle and it will pull through. So if you have any trouble with pulling needles through because either the needle is too thick or the fabric's too thick, or you know, what have you, then using that little tip will help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 5 stitches here. See, it's not wanting to pull through, so you just get a hold of your helper and pull it through. But if you have a balloon hanging out, or one of those, you know, latex type gloves, plastic gloves, any of those will help. The thread pulls through usually after you get the needle pulled through, because the needle paves the way for the thread. So I use a thimble to push and the jar opener to pull. So what I'm doing is I'm just using this green variegated pearl cotton, and I'm putting 5 stitches on here. I don't mark them. You can if you want, but you know, it's kind of like, what's the point when you can just wing it and experiment? I'm going to just do 5 stitches, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Anybody can do this. It is not hard. And then I'm going to come back up. So my needle is on the top of my piece, just like that. So here's what we're going to do. This is called a woven rose or a woven spider web. Okay, right here. So we've done these 5 stitches just like that. And from here it's just a weaving process, but you need an odd number of stitches. And then I use the butt end, the eye end, whatever you want to call it, not the pointy end, the other end of the needle, and you're just going to weave over and under. So over, under, and pull your thread up, then over the next one, under the following one, so over, under, and I usually do 2 at a time. I'll do an over, under, and then pull it up, but don't pull it tight, just take the slack out of the thread, and it's just over, under. So I'm going to come in really close so you can see what I'm doing, okay? Super close. How close is that? Too close. There we go. Too close is too close. Okay, so I'm under that one. So then I go over, under, pull up the slack, over, under. But if you use the eye end of the needle to do this, it helps you keep from snagging stuff that you don't want to snag. This is all done on the surface of your piece. So over, under, and you just keep going, and it will fill up those little spokes. See, it'll just fill them up. All right, it just fills it up. All right, now I'm going to show you one that's already done. I'm going to show you some that are done. So here it is, completed, and this one was done with embroidery floss. Okay. So that's done with embroidery floss. This one I was doing with the pearl cotton, so it's going to have more texture because it's a thicker thread. Just depends on what you want. The longer you make these stitches, it becomes more challenging. So my advice is don't make those stitches too long, especially when you're starting out. You can add more little stitches on here as well. So you can do straight stitches, you can do French knots, cross stitches, French knots, and so forth. So I just added a few little embellishments on the surface of that. Okay, so when you get that part done, then the next thing you're going to do is we have to put a backing on it, because these are really stiff little pieces. And I did exactly the same thing with my big pieces, and so I'm going to use a purple one that I have done. This one doesn't have any gold, but it does have purple. Okay, and this is the stiff. There's a variety of things you can use for stiff, for the stiffening. All right, but this is called Plying 72F. If you can look at it, you can see fusible web. There is it shining in the light? Maybe, I don't know if I can get it to shine on this side, but it's got fusible on both sides. So I have cut my piece down. So I've cut it down to, this is the 5 by 6 1/4, and I've cut my heavy backing. It's Peltex 72F, and I'm going to match those up just like this. Okay, matched them up. Cover it, and I'm going to use my iron, and I'm going to fuse that together. But you have to make sure, totally make sure, that you have parchment paper on both sides, because remember that Peltex was fusible on both sides, so it's going to fuse right down to whatever you have. And just to show you, it's not completely fused. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give it some heat straight from the top, because I'm pretty sure that I have things matched up. Okay, good enough. So now it is sandwiched with this thick stuff, which is about between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch, closer to an 1/8 of an inch thick. So it's now thick like a postcard, which these make great postcards as well. And on this one, being the purple one, you can see there's some hand stitches there, some French knots here, some cross stitches. And on this one, I just went back and forth with the machine stitch, because I like both. Who can choose? Who can choose? I like both. Now, thanks to Lucia, who turned me on to this fabric, you see it comes in wonderful fabrics. It's called Uncorked. It's all Lucia's fault. I cut this piece about 3/4 of an inch larger all the way around, like this. Okay, about 3/4 of an inch. Normally I would cut this down later. Thanks, Meri. And then I'm going to fuse it just like this. Fuse them together. Because that Peltex has fusible on the other side. Okay. So everything is stuck together, but I allowed about 3/4 of an inch all the way around. Then what I did is just like wrapping the corners of chipboard or something like that. You want to cut this down about half the width of your binding. So if this is 3/4 of an inch, I cut it down about 3/8 of an inch across the corner. And then all you do is turn it and press it and stitch it. And then I do the same thing in the corner. Let me do one corner. I think I can do one corner here in 2 minutes. The corners are fiddly, okay? The corners are fiddly, and you think it's never going to work, but you're going to do that part by hand. And so the first thing you're going to do is pull this little corner bit in, like so. And then take each side, turn it in, and turn it in again, like so. And then I go around and I pin it. And then I turn this down, and I turn it down again. And every time you do it, including me, every time I do it, I think, oh, it's never going to work. Look at this ugly corner. It works. So I go around, I press, I pin, I take my time, and then I use a needle and thread, and when I put these corners together, I whip those corners together, and it will cinch in that corner. And you see the corner right there? See it? See it? It just works. It just works. And then you can do whatever you want to do with these. I put words on here that I used from our Mandala Madness inspiration cards. I took those words, I ripped them apart. I ripped them right out of my cards, and I used tacky glue, and I placed them on here and added those just like this. And so then you've either got little postcards, or you've got things, little gifts that you can send to people. You know, it's kind of like the sky is the limit. Those are my passionate things. Words, mandalas, fiber, color, stitch, all wrapped into one. Okay, that does it for me. You'll find that the next person, which I believe is Kiesha, is in the description box below the video. So I think you got 5 minutes to get from here, to get on the bus and get over there. So remember to get creative today, because you know it's easy. I will see you guys on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Come on back here for Drama Free Friday. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Meri. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Bye, you guys.